This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Tiege Hanley, uncomplicated skincare for men.
Fires one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Break out the brooms, fella.
How much does Darnell Nurse make? How much are they paying him?
More than us. $9 million?
Yeah, I think he's a cap hit of about 9.5, somewhere around there. He actually has been floating around he's in the ballpark of one of the worst plus minuses in NHL playoff history. He was sub 500 going into Game 3. That's what not what a $9.5 million guy does for your hockey team. You know what I'm saying?
You know a thing or two about bad plus minuses.
Oh, man. Outside of Ed Sheeran's albums, that's the only time I want to see a minus anywhere close to a stat sheet. My God. I mean, as a defenseman, that should be your bread and butter. Unless you're a guy, like an offensive guy like William Karlsson or somebody of that, or Letang, somebody you know is going to put points up on the board for you, you can kind of deal with somebody who's going to hover. Anytime you're below zero, like, unless you're racking up 300 penalty minutes a year, that's unacceptable. That's literally your job. That's your job, is to keep the puck out of your zone, keep guys out of the paint, help your goaltender keep pucks out of the net. And I just find it baffling, like absolutely bad. Like, where did he go? Where did he go? He was a strong D-man for most of the season. There's a reason why they paid him that amount of money. Like, it's not like he made a play in Game 3 where he was circling back to give himself some space and put it behind his own net. He hit the side of his own net, and the Panthers regained possession. And that was in the third period. I mean, I don't understand how he went from being this elite defenseman to just, borderline seventh guy. I mean, he might as well have been a grocery stick on the bench. He's just brutal. I'm not pinning it all on him. There's a lot of other guys. The Oilers, to me, in Game 3, which is a game I watched thoroughly, Game 3, to me, it just seemed like the Oilers and Knobloch basically said, okay, guys, we're going to outskill them this time. We're not going to outwork them. We're going to outskill them. And then they just got shut down by a harder working, skilled hockey team. Like, it was just a failure. It was brutal.
I think I speak for every single goalie out there, because we have 3 D pairings. There's always the 1 D pairing where you're like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm really happy they're out there. I feel safe. If I make a mistake, they might bail me out. Then there's the 1 D pairing where you're like, okay, might be a couple mistakes, might help me out. We don't know. Then the 3rd D pairing where you're thinking to yourself, oh God, lots of whistles, lots of stoppages. Let's not mess around. Good rebound control. We got to really help them out. God helps them who help themselves. Darnell Nurse would probably be that pairing or part of that pairing if you're the goalie for the Oilers.
That's actually a really great question, and what's better will be the answer, I'm hoping, is for young goaltenders out there to hear it from you. How much does your play change when it comes to playing the puck or freezing the puck or all the things you just mentioned based on the defense or even the forwards that are in front of you?
Oh, it absolutely has to change. That's the one thing about puck handling, though. I'm a very good puck handler. I'm elite when it comes to puck handling, but my elite abilities are basically null and void if the defense aren't set up properly. So when I go to step the puck behind the net, I can only make a great first pass and get us out of the zone if there's somebody to make that pass too. So if the defense isn't helping me finding them to get the puck out, I'm useless. So then I have to accommodate that. Okay, maybe I'm not going to stop any pucks behind the net. I'll just let it go around and let the defense take care of it, because there's no sense in me stopping it if I can't get it out to somebody. And same thing with the actual puck stopping abilities. If my defense aren't boxing out, then I have to be looking for different whistles as opposed to maybe being calm, cool, and collected. Okay, I can make the saves, and maybe I have a sloppy rebound here and there, but they'll clear it out. I should be okay. I'm in good hands. It does change a lot based on the defense out there.
How much deeper do you play in the paint depending on who's out there?
I think that's more power play specific. I try not to let that be dictated by the defenseman or the guys on my team, because it's going to mess up the whole. Like, I can't be paying attention to, okay, so that's pairing 1, that's pairing 3. Power play penalty kill will dictate that, but the rest of it's just there's certain spots on the ice, right? If a guy's coming right down Main Street, more depth, guys coming off to the side of the circle, okay, maybe I'm just a slight step off the post and do a slight overlap. It all depends on situational awareness there.
How much do you despise it when you see last man out of your zone trying to make a stretch pass across the ice rather than getting it up and out off the boards?
I try to feel for them, though, because I see everything. It's almost like playing a video game in third person. Like, I see everything. And then I see the guy coming up, I'm like, no, please don't. Okay, all right, breakaway, here we go, right? That's just the way that it is for the goalie. But you got to make a save, though, right? You're the guy that has to bail them out. And when the team needs a save, whether it's a hard save, an easy save, they need a save. You got to give them a save. That's the name of the game, finding a way to make the save when the team needs it most.
Well, because you're able to see it from a bird's eye view, like a third-person shooter. From your experience, which style of breakout do you think is the most effective to try and get a puck out of your zone?
Flying V? No, I'm just kidding.
I knew that was coming. I set you up for that one.
Did you? Best breakout.
I feel like I did.
The best breakout is the one where we get the puck out of the zone, ideally.
Yeah.
Because there's an essence to, if I stop the puck behind the net, or let's say we regain possession behind the net, and then we're going to go to clear it out, we miss, their D-man stops it right on the side of the boards on the glass, they grab it, they glove it, they put it down. There's something about that energy tilt. You know the saying in NHL video games, ice tilt. We have the ice tilt going their way. The ice is tilted.
Yeah, I get when guys are skating downhill, they use it a lot in football. That guy's running downhill tonight. Yeah, I totally get that.
It's that feeling where, okay, we're not doing so great. We need a save. We need a big play. Somebody has to step up, as opposed to, we just got the puck out of the zone and it is what it is, right? Like if McDavid's coming around, let's say the Oilers Panthers, and he's dangling all the forwards, he got through them all, he split the two D-men, now it's just me and him. There's pressure. I got to make that save if I was the guy, right?
I've always been a big fan. I haven't seen this implemented a whole lot, but I've never liked the idea of defensemen having to swap out in your own zone to cover the front of the net. I think first guy back always had the first D-man, deeper man in the deeper D-man in the zone, takes the corner wherever the puck's going. Second D-man in front of the net. First forward gets into the corner to outnumber the offensive checker, the forechecker, and then your second D-man or your second forward in covers the top of the slot. And then your third guy is basically a hover. He's a watchdog up around the point who can also swing down. And I just think outnumbering that side, as long as you can contain really well and you can cut off that pass around, it cuts off the pass behind the net as well. I think it's a lot smoother and it's a lot quicker to get your guys up the ice as well. And I just don't see it. I don't see it enough. I still seeing that classic. Okay, your side, you defensemen go to that side. Okay, now I'll come in front of the net and you go over there. And that's more often than not where you get guys left completely alone in front of the net and they bury goals.
Goal 4, or was it goal 3 tonight? The back door. When I think it was Nurse made the turnover, Panthers came, made a quick pass to the slot, pass back door, and I think it was Reinhardt. Or no, sorry, it was Bennett. Just roofed it over Skinner.
Bennett.
That exact same play.
Kachuk was the one that poked it out front too. So, I mean, there's just another example of it. I just don't understand how the breakout hasn't evolved to something that's a little more fluid rather than this is your position, this is your position. It should be a numbers game as far as who's back.
I feel like the 1-3-1 works best. Like the 1-3-1 seems to get it out every single time, no matter who's running it and what team it is.
Yeah, well, again, you talked about it all depends on the personnel that you have out there too, right?
It's true. If they're too dumb to be able to figure it out, well, we got to do something different then, right?
I'll be honest with you, man. I'll throw it out there. The last team to come back from 3-0 is the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1942. And again, look, it could be over. It could be over by now. The game was last night. Didn't watch last night's game. We watched Thursday night's game, but it could be over right now.
And we're a two-man show for this podcast, so it's kind of hard to record late on a Saturday night to get it up for Sunday morning, so we're recording a little bit in advance. But we're just, you have a prediction? Do you think the Panthers are going to sweep them out? Or back to Florida for 5?
Back to Florida. I think we're going back to Florida for tomorrow night. Yeah. I think they're going to throw everything at Bobrovsky. Man, has he been good. The success they've been getting is, again, getting bodies in front of the net, stopping him from seeing the puck, and those two that came in from the point by Broberg and McLeod, that seemed to be the way to solve Bob, is get traffic in front of it as much as you can. And so I guarantee you Paul Maurice will address that very quickly, making sure that he's got a clear lane.
Do you notice that, though, when it comes to Bobrovsky's goaltending? He doesn't give up those soft goals. He comes up with the big save when they need it, and he's just timely. Like, he is earning every single cent of that $10 million. I'd give him an extra $2 million more. He's playing so good. Highest paid goalie in the league. Last year, they were talking about buying him out. Oh, we might have to buy him out. It's not worth it. He's a bust. Dude has carried them to 2 cup finals. He's about to win the cup. Pretty good goaltending right there.
I think with all of his bonuses, his playoff bonuses, his Stanley Cup bonus, everything, he will. I think he will probably make that just in these playoffs alone.
But, man, he's been so good. Then you look at the other end of the rink. I got a bone to pick with Stuart Skinner, though. I was telling Dave before we started recording the show, and nobody has seemed to be talking about this or even interested in this at all. Look at Stuart Skinner's body language. right? We talked about this last week. Body language is a subconscious reflection of what's actually going on upstairs in your mind. Goal number 2 in game 2, puck goes in. He gives his defenseman the old, hey, not my fault. What am I supposed to do? The shoulder shrug, the hand shrug. Like, you can't be showing up your defenseman like that. That's textbook 101, how not to endear yourself to your defenseman to make that first pass and want to play for you. And then tonight, for game 3, look at his body language, look at his shoulders, and look at the angling of his chin and his head after every single goal, right? We talk about if you're confident, right? Shoulders up, chest out, shoulders back, head high, that's confident. But when your head's down, your shoulders are drooping, he looks defeated the whole time. You're in the Stanley Cup Final, dude. Show some good body language, right? Sportsnet and the Oilers just did a whole documentary on how mentally tough this guy is and how he thinks he's the man. Look like the man. If you want to play like the man, you have to look like the man. You have to be the man. And he's not looking like that.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. He was never brought in as the cornerstone of that franchise. He was just another, here's hoping. And the fact that he's a local guy, born and bred in Edmonton, it breaks my heart and even more because I don't think anyone's going to be sliding him a free 6-pack at the LC when he goes to buy a beer after the series is done. But I can imagine the pressure. I don't think that a lot of pressure was put on him. I don't think that they said, you're the guy, and because he wasn't given that responsibility, maybe that played a little on it. Like, he's just kind of like, hey, listen, man, you're just kind of there to wear a jersey and stand in the cage, and you look good in the gear, and your mustache is dynamite. We're relying on Neon Leon and Connor McJesus there and the rest of the guys that we've put up front and the 10 number 1 first overall draft picks that we've had and the trades we've made over the years. You just sit back there. You sit back there and enjoy a bird's eye view of how we're going to dominate on offense. And, listen, I feel bad for the guy. I think he was put in a very awkward situation, but I've been saying it for years, and I hate to keep dumping on the Oilers, but through the draft, they never drafted what the team needed. They just drafted the best available player. Outside of Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, it's taken him a long time to come into his own. Yakupov, bust. I mean, you can go through the list of busts that they've had as far as number of first overall draft picks. It just hasn't panned out. They should have been drafting on what the team needs, and I hope they learn that lesson moving in the future. But to me, watching the Oilers over the last decade and a half, they're just becoming the Leafs 2.0. They're filling the press box with former players, alumni guys that used to chum around in the locker rooms after the games, and it doesn't do you any good. You got to the dance, absolutely. I'm not taking that away from you. But you started the season on a losing streak, and you're ending the season on a losing streak. So, really, you tied for second like everyone else.
As much as I want to say Skinner's cost him series, he hasn't been god-awful, but Bobrovsky's just been lights out.
Yeah, I mean, but the whole team, the Florida Panther team, and sure, Bobrovsky has been there to bail them out regardless of the personnel that's on the ice like we talked about earlier. But that team, and Paul Maurice talked about it right from the get-go. The guy's bought in, and I think he's done a really good job of letting that locker room know, like, listen, my name is Paul Maurice. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I think I've got a hack into how to get this done. If y'all want to win a Stanley Cup with me, follow me. Please, let's win a Stanley Cup together. And I think they kind of believe they were probably about 85% belief last year when they got to the finals, and then this year at the start of the season they went, all right, 100% belief in that guy behind the bench is going to get us a cup. And you listen to guys like Kachuk after every series, he just talks about the guys that have bought in. The guys have bought in. Like that entire team knows exactly what their role is, where the Oilers, I'm not quite sure they knew what their identity was.
You saw that clip, though, the other day of McDavid when he got asked about his favorite thing about Edmonton?
My heated driveway?
There's a lot of things, right? I mean, the days are long this time of year, right? Lots of summertime. Bro, you hate being in Edmonton. The River Valley.
This is the first time he's ever been in Edmonton this long into the spring. He's usually gone by the end of April.
Yeah, he's in Muskoka usually. You know what's kind of sad, though? And maybe this is very elitist of him. I'm surprised he didn't say something like, the people are nice, right? The people are very friendly. They're hardworking. The River Valley is a beautiful spot. I love taking a nice little river boat down the North Saskatchewan River with my missus. I know maybe we have to book it out on a private charter, so I'm not getting hassled, but that's very fun, right? There's things about Edmonton that are fun. I mean, you're born and raised there. You know that, Dave. I mean, yeah, it's not great. Kind of like Winnipeg. It's freezing, but there's some things to do that are fun.
Absolutely. Listen, Edmonton's a great time. There's a reason why we spent a lot of weekends down there. I mean, West Edmonton Mall was like that was the Wisconsin Dells of of Wisconsin. I mean, name your favorite spot in your neck of the woods, and the West Edmonton Mall was it for us. It was a 4.5 hour drive door to door. But for a guy listen, even go back to the draft when the Oilers got the first overall pick in the lottery, and all eyes were on McDavid. You can kind of see him like doing everything in his power to kind of go, hey. Yay! Woo! Oilers! I just think he is a very humble guy who was trained very well through junior hockey and through his agent and through his family to saying, you will go where you were drafted to. You are not pulling a Lindros. You're not doing that. You're going to go and you're going to make the best of it. But I think deep down, he's an Eastern Ontario guy. And I think if he gets to an opportunity where, the Oilers fall off, and usually when a situation like this happens outside of the Florida Panthers and look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had their run and now they're kind of on the decline. I think the Edmonton Oilers, their window is going to be short, and if Connor McDavid doesn't see a lot of upside to staying with the team, I think he could probably look for a trade, and I think he'll probably end up going to the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying it will be Toronto, but it'll probably likely be somebody in that division. But, their window with McDavid is shrinking. I don't think he is a lifelong Oiler. I hate to say it. I just don't think he is.
Think he hates being there?
I don't think he hates being there. He met his fiance there. He's got a banging house. I don't know if you saw that YouTube video of him giving a tour of his place and all of it's a nice joint. He's got a heated driveway, melts the snow for him. Beautiful area just outside of town.
Oh, yeah, he loves his heated driveway, too. Don't forget about that.
He loves that heated driveway. I love his heated driveway. I would sleep on his heated driveway. I think he
Wheeler's on the front yard again.
I think he enjoys elements of Edmonton, but I think his heart is still in Eastern Ontario.
I don't know if this gets into too political, and I think that we do have a strong Ontario following, but I'm going to say this anyway. As a born and raised Winnipeg, Manitoba boy, I always found whenever I go to play out west, or if it was in the States or out east, I always found the guys from Ontario treated me like I was less than them. And I think a lot of guys from Saskatchewan felt the exact same way, maybe even a bit of Alberta, but the BC and the Ontario guys always treated us differently, like they were like a Class A and we were a Class B. I could be wrong.
Sure.
That was my experience, though.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Look, it was once upon a believe it or not, once upon a time back in the 70s and 80s, there were more people showing up to Winnipeg because there was more job prospects in Winnipeg than there were in Calgary. But before then, it was still Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal were your three major cities in Canada. Montreal arguably being the only true metropolis. And then you've got Toronto, who are still PO that they didn't get the tag of being the nation's capital. And then Vancouver, which was just kind of like this hidden gem that everyone kind of forgot about. That was a major player in Canadian economics and population. But it wasn't until the last 20 years that Edmonton and Calgary really kind of bolstered up their economy. And Edmonton's 1.3 metro, and Calgary's throwing stones at 1.5. Winnipeg's been pretty stagnant at about 850, and the population of the province is just over 1.1 million. So the bulk of the population resides in Winnipeg, which is cool. But the next closest drive is Regina, which is only about 300,000 people, and then you got Thunder Bay, which is about $1.50. 150,000. So it's isolation, man. It's isolation. You go to Toronto and it's very densely populated. You got, Toronto, Ottawa, or Oshawa, Kitchener. You got all these towns along the way where the West is still kind of very barren as far as population goes. You got a lot of spread out communities, and it's just a little more isolated.
It's nothing personal. It's just we're better than you. Madagascar, King Julian.
It's always been the redheaded stepchild syndrome. And look, the U.S. goes through the same thing. They've been referred to as flyover states. Anything all the way down the middle, everything in the central division of the NHL is basically considered a flyover state.
I'm talking about King Julian from Madagascar, right?
You and your movies.
Maurice, I'd like my nuts on a silver platter, please.
Wasn't Chris Rock a voice in Madagascar?
Yeah, he's a zebra. He's a zebra.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, but they did need a Madagascar. They needed some good skincare. They're probably getting dry out there in the desert. Being born in Winnipeg, it's so
Right?
dry. I'm going to Edmonton tomorrow. I'm going to be so dry. I got to bring my skincare, which is why Tiege Hanley is the presenting sponsor for today's show. Tiege Hanley is uncomplicated skincare for men. They give you everything you're going to need. They give you nothing you don't. Starting with their daily face wash, use it every single day. They also have a charcoal face wash, which is a twice a week face wash you use. AM moisturizer when you're starting off your day. PM before bed. Make sure you take care of that skin. You don't want to look like a wrinkly old bag of prunes the time you're 60, like the other guy on the end of the show. Eye serums, all that good stuff. And right now, go to the link in the video description. You get up to 40% off your first order of Tiege Hanley today. 20% off lifetime. And they'll give you a free silicone body scrub. You kind of like scrub yourself all up and down. The old rabbit-dabba-doo. Yabba-dabba-doo. There we go. It's a little bit late here in Vancouver. But check out Tiege Hanley, the link in the video description, and the notes in the Apple Spotify podcasting version. And thanks to Tiege for sponsoring this show. Why don't we give a shout out to Paul Maurice? How about that comment the other day? This isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. It was literally like Conor McGregor. How do you feel about this fight coming up? This is not a therapy session.
I actually heard that Sasha Barkov had to apologize to Leon Draisaitl for injuring his elbow with his face.
It reminds me of that cutaway from Family Guy. Hey, you got peanut butter in my chocolate. Hey, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. Is there like in a mangled up car accident?
Reese's peanut butter cups. Look, Paul Maurice, I love him to death. I think he's great, and I love the comment because I'll give the media credit. They're like, come on, Paul, I don't think you're really being honest about your feelings. Like, what did you feel about that hit that Draisaitl put on Barkov? And he said, this isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. My feelings don't matter. And I loved it because he's absolutely right. Who cares what he feels? Call's been made. If he goes and goes, NHL, I don't feel that was fair, the NHL is going to go, you're right. Your feelings matter in this one. We're going to suspend him. No, of course not. He's absolutely right. His feelings don't mean shit.
You're right, Paul. Sorry you're upset. Here's a $20,000 fine for criticizing us. We are not a dictatorship here, I promise you, but don't criticize us.
Well, look, you look at his track record. There's been times where he's even said to the media, he's like, I know what you're digging for, but I'm not getting fined. Nope, I ain't going there. He's a smart guy. He knows in his own brain he has basically put certain things in areas going, all right, not going to talk about that one. That'll go back here. And God love him. He's playing the game extremely well. This is his third appearance in the Cup Finals, if my math is correct. He did it once with Carolina, and then now twice in a row with Florida. And I think it's all said and done now. But Paul Maurice, congratulations, man. Well done.
That's your prediction, Stanley Cup champion Paul Maurice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of going to be hard to go against the Oilers. Duh, too many pucks off the head. Hey,
well, listen,
speaking of pucks off the head, I know you got a bone to pick with the guys over at Spittin Chiclets. You want to go off on that?
Sure. Well, listen, I will say I think Biz is great. I think he's done a great job. I think Whitney, R.A., all of them. I think they're great. I think they've done very, very well, and God love them. They have brought a lot more people listening to hockey podcasts, and I'd be lying if I said a good number of our subscribers aren't also Chiclet subscribers. And thank you to them for raising the bar. But I was so disappointed last week when they had and we talked about her on our show, the young lady who was up in the stands who decided to show her support for the Oilers by flashing the high beams while she was in the crowd. And they got her on the show, and they asked questions about, like, hey, what's going on? How's the response been? And asked about her social media presence, and all that was fine. And then you could just see all of them just turn into just little teenage boys where they all crawl up to the camera and like, hey, so are your boobies real? And I was just, guys, come on. There's a time and a place to do that kind of stuff. I felt like I'm disappointed. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. I thought more of you than that. But whatever.
We ate the whole wheel of cheese. I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Baxter. Wow. Rich mahogany. Yeah, I just I don't know, man.
It's cringy though, wasn't it? Like you were like I was cringing listening to it.
All three of those guys, I'm sure, have seen enough high beams in their day to be able to tell the difference. If you're looking at a classic 1967 or if you're looking at a new 2024 Tesla, you can tell the difference in headlights if those are original, if they are stock, or if they've been modified. You should know, especially at your age, gentlemen. You should know just by looking. I don't think you needed to ask the question.
Are you saying that those are not off the rack?
I just think that it was a little bit of a low-class question. And no, listen, and it's not out of character. I've seen their past episodes. They've gotten some pretty gnarly stories from some of the guys about the road, and they don't shy away from that. But you literally have the poor girl. She was nice enough to come on your show. She was nice enough to ask questions, and you had to... I'm disappointed. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed.
I don't think that was the chick, though. Like, when you see the girl they had in the show versus the one in the video, I don't think that was the one. I think they just found some random chick. We're like, close enough.
Yeah, I saw that on a lot of the social media channels, people asking if that was really her or not. I don't think that they would stoop so low as to put a fakie in there, but who knows?
On that note, though, I was curious. Oh, hold on. Can you hear that? The cops going by or no?
Yeah. I heard that one.
The amount of cops that go by my place. Can I have a little bit of a bone to pick in Vancouver here, okay? This drives me nuts about Vancouver. We have successfully eliminated all the plastic straws. We don't have any plastic straws, just paper straws in the city. However, dudes smoke crack outside my front building door every day, all day, and the ambulances are always out there. But we got rid of the plastic straws. It drives me nuts about Vancouver.
Yeah, as long as we're keeping the orcas safe. You know what I mean?
Do as much crack as you want. Just don't use a plastic straw.
Yeah.
Hey, at least summers are nicer.
I don't know.
Summer, weather's beautiful here the last couple of days. The rain's finally gone away. Everything's green. It's beautiful. A couple nice beach days. Can't complain about that. But the crack smokers outside of my front door, I could do without that.
Well, listen, man, it's a growing issue across the country, that's for sure. But I'm glad BC finally got your province has finally got their priorities in order as far as
whoa. I'm not a BC boy.
Legalization and criminalization.
Hey,
no, I know you're not, but you're living in that province right now. Do you have a British Columbia driver's license?
Nope. Manitoba driver's license.
Still, eh? Wow, good for you.
I'm patriotic Winnipegger. I ain't changed that over. Still got a Manitoba number, too.
Yeah, that's right. You still got your, 204 number, right?
204. I got the OG code, yeah.
My brother and my mother live out in British Columbia, and I've seen things firsthand. I mean, East Hastings is we've talked a lot about that before, but let's focus on some hockey. Let's focus on some positives here. Let's go.
I did want to ask one question to the listeners, though. So I was having a meeting today with the manager, one of the managers of the influencing agency I just signed with, and one of the important questions that I have for the listeners of the show: what podcasts do you listen to? Doesn't matter why. What shows do you listen to? I want to know. Leave in the comment section. Which shows do you listen to? They can be hockey-related, not hockey-related. They can be Chiclets. They can be just our show. Whatever you listen to, leave in the comments. Me and Dave would like to know. Please and thank you.
And especially if you're not, make sure you check out the Wheeler in the Morning podcast. That one's daily.
Why don't we do a little bit of giveaway, too? We're going to give away 3 sets of Collector Series trading cards. I'm just going to do this on the fly. Hopefully Dave doesn't mind this. But
Are they real? Are they real? The cards?
I think so.
Okay.
We're going to do 3 sets of... Imagine they're fakes. We're going to do 3 sets of trading cards. 3 winners. Leave a comment. 3 comments are going to win at random. Leave a comment. What podcast you listen to. Good luck to everybody who enters.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you very much in advance. It's just for, personal research reasons and whatnot.
Also, how about this? I saw the story the other day. Link Gaetz, 40th overall draft pick in 1988 by the Minnesota North Stars, shows up to the draft in 1988. 2 black eyes from a bar fight the night before. Shakes the GM's hand and says, "All right, I'm ready to fight for you, coach." What a beauty.
Tough as nails, man. Link Gaetz was tough as nails. I'm pretty sure I heard this story, and we talked about it on a previous episode, I think, the beginning of the season, but the video of Rob Ray and Ty Domi sitting down going over all their old fights, I'm pretty sure Rob Ray tells a story about him and Kelly Chase getting into a dust-up the night before the draft. Things like that happened more often than not back in the old days, man. And I'm not saying things were better back then. I'm not saying things are better now. They were just different. Well, you see Paul Maurice's comment the other day. Somebody was asking about home ice advantage, and he basically alluded to
Hockey's gotten so soft. It doesn't really matter what building you're playing in, right? There's no physicality. It's just all skill. So maybe there's some truth to that.
Well, I think one of the big things about that, and God love Major League Baseball, because it does make a difference what ballpark you go into. I mean, you got the Green Monster in Boston. You've got, the Mile High in Denver with the Colorado Rockies. You've got some walls that are higher, some left fields that are shorter. Hockey used to have that. I mean, there were stories about, hey, don't go to the corners in Boston, man. They cut off real quick. Chicago had I think it was like a foot shorter behind the net. The blue lines at certain rinks weren't. The one rink was wider. Each rink had these little idiosyncratic kind of things that only the home team really knew where the right bounce was on the certain part of the left side of the boards. But they're so uniform now. Like, honestly, there's times where, like back in the 80s or 90s, if I was watching a hockey game, I didn't even need to see the logo in the middle of the rink to know where they were playing outside of their jerseys. But now, because they're wearing so many third jerseys, I never know. I got to see the logo in the middle of the rink because every rink looks so bloody uniform. But back in the day, even at the Saddle Dome, the camera would sit up at a different height. You could just tell by the camera angles what rink they were in, and that's gone. And Paul Maurice is absolutely right. It doesn't, as far as home ice advantage, it's the crowd. That's the only advantage you get, is the crowd. The bounces are the same. The rink is exactly the same size. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just different.
If you could add some crazy changes to a rink, what would you do? Like if you had a green monster, or like the stuff they have in baseball where the rink is different, what are some things you could change? What about a bigger net? Boston has bigger nets than in Chicago. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, but only for the visiting team you have a bigger net. You switch them at the end of every period.
Visitors'
honestly,
locker
man,
room is about 40 degrees hotter than the home one.
One big change I would love to see, and I really truly think that this is something that you could keep with the uniformity of all of the rinks, but I really truly believe that another advantage that you could have as far as being the home team is put the benches on opposite sides, and the home team gets right beside the timekeeper's area, right beside the penalty boxes, if you want to make a change after that penalty's done, where the opposing team would have to skate across the ice, allowing an opportunity for a possible turnover, where the home team would have that advantage of being able to make a quick switch.
I like that. That's not bad. Especially as a goaltender.
Every once in a while, I come up with a nugget.
Especially as a goaltender, though, you stop the puck down, throw it down, just chuck it out to the far blue line. If your guy's right there by himself, no bench, or by your bench, that's a pretty good advantage right there in the second period.
I think it's a huge advantage, and I don't know why they keep allowing. I think they do it for the ratings, obviously, to keep the benches on the both sides so the coaches can yak at each other and whatnot. But yeah, I've actually coached at a few rinks. There's one up in Selkirk where the benches are on opposite ends of the ice, and I used to love John across the ice against the Selkirk Fishermen. Good old days. Anyways, I think that small things like that.
Hey, shout out to the Selkirk
outside
ring,
of
the
that,
best taco in the bag in the league.
Oh, really? That good, huh?
You never tried taco in a bag?
No, I was too busy coaching.
Does it? Oh, that's true. I could totally see you in intermissions going down for a quick dog, a quick glizzy, or a little taco in a bag. All right, fellas, as he takes a scoop out of his Doritos bag, we're running a 1-3-1 next period. Got it? All right, I'm going to get some more sour cream.
No, our team was so bad I was too busy trying to juggle lines around, trying to figure out which defenseman I could put in there or what defenseman I could send up to the forwards and say, give me that guy in the back end. He's a better backward skater. Speaking of coaches, big shout out to my boy Stewie, who reached out to me. I hadn't heard from him in a while. He's the head coach of the Nottingham Panthers in the British Elite League, and he is a supporter and listener of this podcast.
Shout out to you, Stu. Hey, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my agent, he'll listen to the show and he'll text me to confirm this. I think the Nottingham Panthers, that league, is it the UIHL? Oh God, I'm having an aneurysm right in the air. Dave, call 911.
Elite Ice Hockey League, EIHL.
EIHL, okay, got you. So the top league in the UK, that's where the Nottingham Panthers would be. There's a league below there, which is like their feeder system. That's where a lot of Fed guys would play. So I'm not saying never, or I'm not saying no, but there's a chance. There's a chance.
Well, listen, I've actually heard rumblings that there's the fact that England is now playing in Division 1 of international hockey in the IIHF tells me that the product of hockey is getting better even though a lot of their guys are citizens of the UK, but maybe English or Canadian or American born, but getting their citizenship over there shows me that the interest of hockey is getting a lot better. I mean, I'm sure you remember when Theo Fleury played his last few years with the Belfast Giants. I mean, to me, that was the kind of start of like, okay, I think they have a thirst for hockey. I think they're enjoying it. I don't think it's quite there yet, but it's growing. And from what I understand, I mean, they're getting crowds of like 5,000-6,000 fans at a game. I think that's great.
The UK, though, is one of those spots, definitely on my list that I would like to see, like, especially to play. There's so many cool spots. Norway, Denmark, the fjords of Norway, especially, that's like top of my list. But the UK over there would be kind of cool. Spain, obviously. Italy.
Well, yeah, you're
France.
Gonna get to see a lot of Spain, and believe me, with you and how much you love trains, for any period of time that you have off, you're going to be able to make day trips or even a couple days to get out and jump on a train and go from country to country.
I got some good news for you. I talked to my agent the other day. I have to take a train to get down there, so I'm going to fly Vancouver to Barcelona, Toronto to Barcelona, and I got to hop on a train from Barcelona down to Lograno.
Oh, you're going to love that.
Ooh, I'm excited. Then they're going to pick me up there, and then boom, here we go, rock and roll, baby. Practice 4 days a week.
Good for you, man.
A little road tripping, going up and down to Barcelona, playing games. I'm excited. Lots of game action.
Get acquainted with that rail system real quick.
I gotta work my Spanish first.
Yes. Necesito mucho práctica para hablar muy bien español.
Remember Garrett Sparks and the checkerboard pads he had, inspired by Trevor Kidd, Manitoba legend?
Yeah.
So, back in 2015, 2016, Sparky's rocking these awesome checkerboard pads. I think one of the greatest setups of all time, just because like the coloring of like the Leafs colors are so awesome. The actual maple leaf in the pad, so crispy, and just the style that he pulled it off with was so fantastic. Lou Lamoriello says, Sparky, no checkerboard pads. Why? They're too flashy. It's not about you, it's about the team. Get something all white. What a shame. One of the greatest sets of all time that he made him put away his checkerboard pads.
But again, that kind of mentality is put the team first and you'll win rather than going out there and being an individual. And that just goes back to the point I was making is people are buying in. The Florida Panthers have bought in with Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice has gone about it a different way than Lou Lamoriello, but he's from that old school way of like, shut up and shave your sideburns, you hippie. Where I think Paul Maurice has a little bit more of he's got a better understanding of how the youth of the game need to be treated and need to be handled, and I think he's done that very well, and I think evidence of that is, proof is in the pudding on that one.
There was also one, too, with the Philadelphia Flyers, Ron Hextall, right? When Calvin Pickard, backup goalie for the Oilers, when he was playing for the Flyers, he got Gritty on his mask, remember, the Gritty, best mascot of all time, and Hexy comes down and is like, take Gritty off. He's the team mascot. No personality. Just put some logos on there. Put some logos, put some numbers. Like none of this custom mascot stuff. He's the team mascot, Hexy.
I coached in Lloydminster back when they were the Blazers, and Skip Craig was our owner. And I remember vividly him coming down, because he would sit up in the stands and watch practice, vividly coming down, grabbing me. He would come down to the bench and he grabbed me when I was skating by, and he said, get your hat turned around forward. I don't ever want to see you wearing your hat backwards. Now keep in mind, I'm already blind in one eye, and when I'm out on the ice and I've got a hat coming down in front of me like that cuts off even more of my vision. I tried to explain that to him. He did not care. And so I talked to him after. I'm like, okay, break this down for me. What's with the backwards hat, and why do you have such an issue with it? He goes, you know what kind of influence you're putting on these kids? Backwards hat, that just leads to trouble. It sends them down a bad path. If you're going to wear a hat on the ice, wear it forwards. And I had to remind myself, this is that old school mentality. That's all. It's just an old school mentality of my generation did it right. My generation did it best. We're going to keep those practices moving forward, and that'll be best. And again, I think Paul Maurice has done a really good job of bridging that gap between the two.
I respect that, though. Right, if your coach or your GM walks in day one, says, no backwards hats, forward hats only. Guy's disciplined. He knows what he wants. He's not messing around. Makes him very respect-worthy. We talked about this last year, too, sometime. I can't remember when it was, but how I was telling you, when you have a coach that shows up in great shape, he's automatically respect-worthy. You respect what he says. It took a lot of discipline to get himself in great shape, so if he cares about his fitness, he Probably cares about his X's and O's. Probably cares about his players. But if you have some dude who's like significantly overweight, well, you don't care about yourself, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I could totally see why that'd be attractive to a lot of guys. I would like that. I would not like not being able to wear my hat backwards. I don't wear any hats to begin with, but I do like that mentality, that philosophy. Having a coach like super hard, super disciplined, crack whip, this is how it's going to be. If you don't like it, leave.
Well, listen, it came down to the fact I'm like, listen, you're the owner, whatever you want. Just because I didn't agree with it didn't mean I wasn't going to adhere to it.
Signed your paycheck, so.
Listen, he was a Stanley Cup winner. I'm trying to remember with what team. Ooh, I think maybe the Blackhawks, possibly. Anyways, he had a good career in the NHL back in his day.
Speaking of careers, though, there's a story that was going viral the other day about Johnny Manziel. I was telling Dave before we started recording the show. Money Manziel. Show me the money.
That dude, man. Holy moly.
I was so excited when he signed in the CFL. I thought for a period of time, like, okay, he went from did he start at Montreal? No, Hamilton. He was in Hamilton and then Montreal. Maybe it was the other way around. But I thought for a second, what if he comes to the Bombers? Remember Money Manziel playing for the Bombers? What a treat that would be. And then I saw a story. They signed him on the condition that he had to test clean for like all of his piss tests and his drug tests for the entire time. If anything came back positive, then you're off the team, Johnny. I guess he was having a bad time. He wasn't happy living in Hamilton, in the what do you call it? The armpit of Canada, right?
Yeah, amongst other things, yeah. The Gap.
And so he's not having a good time. And he says, instead of telling him I'm not doing this and I'm leaving, I'm going to get blackout drunk, crippled. I'm going to piss test tomorrow. Shows up to practice, hung cheese. All right, Johnny, piss test time. And he says, you guys don't even have to check this one. Peas in the cup. Just sniff it. I'll pack my stuff. Like, can I say legend? That's kind of legendary, but what a degenerate.
What a way to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good story, that's the way to do it. You wouldn't believe the amount of Heisman Trophy winners out of the NCAA that have played in the CFL. Like, there's a lot of Heisman Trophy winners that have played.
Really?
Yeah, well, listen, just because, and it happens in every sport, just because you dominate at a collegiate level or in Canada at a junior hockey level does not guarantee. It's good trending, but it does not guarantee that you're going to transition well into the professional game. And there's a lot of times, and keep in mind, the NCAA is a big league, and not all of them can make it into the National Football League, and NFL Europe is gone. So we've had a lot of it. I mean, I can think of Doug Flutie being one. Johnny Manziel was a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, although you didn't say he played in the CFL, he played in the CFL. But at least a dozen guys that I can think of that have played in the Heisman Trophy winners that played in the CFL.
That's one environment I've always wanted to be a part of, though. Right, like playing in hockey, like you know what the hockey locker room is like. What it's like, be there in December, in April, October, start of the season, whatever. But a football locker room, I'm kind of curious. I've always wanted to be in a football locker room. I don't know how I'm allowed to say that. That's kind of weird, but I've always been curious about that.
It's not a whole lot different, man. It's just more dudes. There's just, there's close to 60 dudes, 60, 70 dudes in the locker room.
It's like three teams.
The locker room's a lot bigger. Yeah, it really is. You've got your offense, your defense, and your special teams. You've got a lot of people in that locker room. So it's just, it's just a bigger version of a bunch of dudes getting naked and hitting the showers.
What are the showers like?
There's a lot of them.
What if they're nicer, they're bigger? I know with the hockey showers, usually there's no dividers, just everybody showers together. I know my mom's probably listening to this and realizing for the first time, oh my God, my son showers with 20 other dudes and they look at each other. Correct. Yep. Correct.
Oh, yeah. And then listen, we are like the pre-authorization before you go to the doctor to be like, yo, dude, I think you should probably go get that checked. Like that doesn't look right.
Oof. How do I say this without getting us in shit in the podcast algorithm? There's been a lot of health scares, men's health scares in FPHL locker rooms that have been solved before they saw the doctor. Yeah. Is that a good way of putting it? Does that tell the story without telling it?
Yeah, I think those that know can pick up and going, yeah, totally get what you mean. Don't got to go any further. Don't need to explain. If anyone has any questions about that, ask somebody who knows. We are not going to cover it on here on this podcast. Go talk to Dr. Drew Pinsky. He'll tell you all about it. I think the only locker room that would probably be different in the professional sports realm would be that of Major League Baseball, because they even call it a clubhouse. And that's more of what it is, where, because they don't have practice per se. It's more of like batting practice and fielding where they go out there. And again, it's a different nut. It's called the national pastime for a reason. But yeah, the clubhouse there, I mean, they all have their own stalls. They have chairs. It's not quite like the way a football or a hockey or even a basketball locker room would be.
That'd be cool, too. Maybe we could do a series like that, just going around touring different locker rooms. Like, hey, what are the showers like?
There's actually I can't think of the channel off the top of my head, but there's one dude who goes and does reviews and ranks all of the stadiums and around different leagues. And there's another one that will actually get access to some of the locker rooms and do full tours of the locker rooms and grade them based on it, on their size and their capacity and all the bells and whistles that they have. So yeah, they're on the recesses of the internet somewhere, buried deep in the YouTube algorithm.
I know it's not getting in the locker room, but have you seen that guy? He's popping off on YouTube the last little bit, but he sneaks in to NHL games. Have you seen that or no?
Yes, I have seen that. He's a comedian as well.
Is he?
Yeah. He goes around. I'm pretty sure he's a comedian as well. I don't know if he's an online comedian or if he's a stand-up comedian, but he's definitely got a comedy background.
I'm a chef. A chef? Yeah, I'm a chef. They said to come here. We don't have you on the list. Well, I'm supposed to start work about 30 minutes ago. And then he finds a way to get in.
All you gotta do is show up with a hard hat and a ladder, and you can get in almost anywhere. I've seen more than enough YouTube clips of that, people getting into places that they shouldn't have been with just a ladder.
Well, I remember you telling me that about a year ago, and then when I saw that video series and I saw him get in, that's the first thing I thought of. Oh, Dave said if you could bring a hard hat and a ladder, I guess sub that out for a chef coat and a chef hat, you can get anywhere you want. We got a kitchen. We got lots of them. Come on down.
Listen, here's a good life hack. Anyone that owns a white truck, keep 2 yellow pylons in the back of your pickup, and you can park anywhere you want. White truck, pylons either side. Nobody will ever question you, I promise.
That's a little Winnipeg 15. Throw your hazards on, too, for a free 30.
Yeah, absolutely. Hazards on, put your hood up, you're good. You're absolutely good.
I was telling my chick that the other day. We were driving somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And I told her, let's just park over there. She's like, oh, it says no parking. Well, throw your hazards on. It's good for a quick 15. We'll be back in no time. But you can't do that. Well, you can in Winnipeg.
Listen, I don't want to tell too many tales out of school, but the hours that I drive to work in the morning are ungodly, and I don't see the sunrise most days. To me, traffic rules are more like suggestions at that hour. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. When I get to an intersection and I've got a red light in front of me, I will stop at the red light, and then I look left, then I look right, I look behind me, I look in front. If there's nobody around, I'm not sitting there like an a-hole for 45 seconds waiting for the light to turn. I will go through the intersection. I know a lot of people are going to go, they're going to grasp and clutch their pearls, but no, I'm sorry. I saw a great show back in the day that talked about the Unabomber, and that was one of the things he had in his manifesto going, do you follow the rules that much? Like, really? Like, is that one going to keep you safe sitting at a red light when nobody's around? Really?
But you know what you could do with that free time, though, Dave? That's 45 seconds well spent, though.
That's extra radio time, I can tell you that.
Well, you could use that 45 seconds to break out your lawnmower and your beard hedger from the team at Manscaped.
There you go. I got a rear view mirror. I can get that done.
Hold on. Yeah, all right. That looks good. So the team at Manscaped.com, they got the lawnmower and they got the beard hedger. And here's what they're going to do. So the lawnmower 5, it's awesome. It's cutting edge. It's got skin safe technology, so you can get actually really personal with your manly parts. I get right in the corner of my manly parts. No problems at all. It's fantastic. It's a huge upgrade from the Lawnmower 4. So the 5, fantastic. All your below-the-belt grooming is going to be taken care of. And then the beard hedger, which as you see in the video version, my beard faded and tapered every single week with the Lawnmower beard hedger. You go to manscaped.com, use the code BIZKIT, B-I-Z-K-I-T, for 20% off and free shipping. YouTube video version on the video description, Apple, Spotify, and the podcast notes. And thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring the show as they always do. Here you go, Dave. You can use that at the next red light intersection you're at.
Absolutely. I will be more cognizant of the time that I spend when I'm sitting at a red light and nobody else is in the intersection. Thank you. Listen, before we go, I want to mention a few things off the top. We've got the Corey Schneider interview coming up very soon. We're going to be doing a really cool summer series of reaction videos, just random videos hockey videos that we found. You may even be in one of them. Who knows? If you play collegiate hockey or junior hockey or midget hockey, there's some highlights in there that we decided to react to. They're a lot of fun. We got them in the can. They're going to be released this summer. And thank you for your subscription. Make sure you sign up to be a Patreon member as well. And don't forget, what podcast do you listen to? Put it down in the comments and you got a chance to win a series of hockey cards.
Yeah, 3 winners. Also, I'd be curious about this. Who do you want to see us interview on the show? So future interviews for the summer, the month of August, a little bit of September. Who do you want to see interviewed? Leave that in the comment section as well. One person I would love to interview, though, is Anna Kane. And we had some interesting revelations after last week's clip about Evander Kane. So I know Dave's face palming already. If you're on the video version, if you're on the Spotify version, he's here. Can you hear that? That's Dave face palming. But man, so I don't.
You know what? Why did we even bother getting Corey Schneider? Why didn't we just get Jill? We just interviewed his wife.
Why?
Because, well, if we're going to interview Anna Kane, why not we'll get to her? Forget Evander.
So forget all the players, just interview the wives?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, it'd be like you said to Paul Maurice in the Oprah Winfrey style show.
Oh, man, I get myself into trouble doing it. Dave, can you help me with this? Man, Anna Kane is a nut job. Without getting into the politics of it, I think it's pretty commonly known that in divorce, when it comes to kids, the woman gets sole custody probably about 80-85% of the time. Not only does she not have custody of the kids, Evander Kane has full custody of the kids. So the fact that the man has the full custody in this relationship, I think it goes to tell you, even the judge knows that she's an absolute nut job.
Yeah, well...
Didn't he buy a billboard
the
ad in Winnipeg to tell her that he loved her? Wasn't that the one, right?
Yes, and that he was sorry, yes. I will keep the adjective... Well, yeah, I mean, he was, again... I'll bring it up. Winnipeg is a smaller community when it comes to having an NHL franchise, and so gossip goes around a little bit quicker. And he had messed up, and he really wanted to keep that relationship alive, so he bought a billboard to apologize to his girl. I thought it was a pretty cool move. A lot of people had questions about it. Certainly grabbed a lot of attention, grabbed a lot of headlines around the city. But hey, why not? Good for him. Listen, man. The heart wants what it wants sometimes, and sometimes we do crazy things for love. If my wife told me to dress up a certain way and stand at the middle of Portage and Maine with a sign on my hand saying that I love my wife and I'm willing to do anything for her, I would do it for her because love does crazy things to people.
In the words of the late great Meatloaf, I would do anything for love,
but I won't do that.
What a hypocrite. I'll do anything, babe, but not that.
Listen, if we better wrap up or else we're going to start singing default songs by Dallas Smith.
Ooh, I'm wasting my time. What a great song. Great band, too. Canadian post-grunge band.
I saw that band first start out when they were doing the bar tours, and they came through the Cooler back in the border town of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, which rests right on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan. And, yeah, good guys. Dallas is a good guy. Had them in studio numerous times. They were... very cordial, very lovely, and Dallas doing pretty well in the country scene now for himself 20-some-odd years later.
Yeah, it's good to see him playing the old default stuff live. But, hey, this is Slangin The Bizkit. That's Dave Wheeler, top morning radio show in the city of Winnipeg for over 20 years over at Energy 106 in Winnipeg. My name's Travis Ridgen. I'm born and raised in Winnipeg. I'm a patriotic Manitoban, but I live in Vancouver. I am your favorite minor pro hockey goaltender, formerly in the North American ranks, now going out of Europe this season. We do a new episode of the show every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. in Winnipeg, 9 in Saskatoon, in Calgary, 8 a.m. in the Pacific Northwest. Again, leave a comment down below. Let us know what shows, what podcasts you listen to. We'll pick 3 winners for the giveaway for next week. And me and Dave will see you next week. See you later.